Anyway, so what he's talking about is I actually handle the online stuff. I deal with Reddit and Discord, and I had posted one of our items.
Slide it over a little bit this way. There you go.
Which is the Star Wars Power of the Force electronic light and sound R2-D2. And it was actually brought to my attention that there were some defects with the toy that made me do a deep dive. One thing I found out about these is when they were first released back in 1997, they lit up incorrectly. So these toys, what they do is they'll light up. The eye of R2-D2 will actually light up red, which in the movies it never did that. And it was brought to my attention by some people on Reddit that the movie backdrop, the scene that they released, was also incorrect. So this is actually the backdrop of the original sketch of what the scene was supposed to look like. So the actual movie scene that was released has more stones in the background. So not only does the toy light up incorrectly, the background is also incorrect. I mean, I just thought that was kind of interesting that we have that lying around and that there's a little bit more of a story to it. Just like everything else you can find here at You Name It Collectables.
Well, he was saying we need to banter more about the things we bantered before here at You Name It Collectables, just kind of goofing around. And we actually have a guy skulking in the background. He knows quite a bit about things too. He's actually now skulking away. Anyway, I'm turning this over to Cameron because he knows quite a bit about it. You can show him.
This is actually kind of for the newer Star Wars fans. People are familiar with the Cartoon Network, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, set in the time frame between Episode 2 and Episode 3, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So this is actually Captain Rex. Dear Phil here called it a stormtrooper. I had to correct him that there is a difference between stormtroopers and clone troopers.
When I stop making mistakes, I'll be dead.
I.e., more specifically, clone troopers had hyper aging. They aged faster than standard humans. So by the time of Episode 4 and 5, there were no clones that were part of the Imperial Army. They had all either defected or retired or died off. In fact, Captain Rex here actually, in the final season of Clone Wars, at the start of the events of Episode 3, where Order 66 is happening, he defected from the clone army after overcoming the implant, the chip in his head that made him attack the Jedi. He overcame that, saved his Jedi, Ahsoka Tano, and escaped the Imperial Army and became a rebel. Most people actually, in Episode 6, most people agree that the old rebel that you see during the attack of Endor. Most people agree that old man is actually Captain Rex. Getting on a tangent here, this is a very cool item. I didn't know they made alarm clocks like this, especially ones that have sound effects and different sounds for your alarm. So I just thought it was a really cool thing to bring up.
He knows a lot more about it than I do. And he probably knows a lot more about a lot of things here than I do. So I'm glad to have him. Anyway, guys, this is one of many, many things that we can talk about here. And come by and see us at You Name It Collectables.
I'd gladly talk to you too. You know, speaking of Gandalf, Ian Macmillan, the actor for Gandalf, was actually offered to be Albus Dumbledore in Harry Potter after the original actor passed away.
I didn't know that.
But Ian turned down the part because the original actor for Dumbledore was very critical of the way Ian acted and his style of acting. So Ian thought it would be disrespectful for him to take the role of someone that did not approve of him.
Wow, I did not know that at all. Huh? Things you learn. Anyway. All right, so here we are at You Name It Collectables. And Cameron here has done a lot of studying because of Reddit, I guess. He became a much better Star Wars advocate or connoisseur or collector, educated guy. So I'm gonna let him show you what he's found out.
Well, hello everyone. I never really had an official introduction. I've been in a couple of the videos now. So my name's Cameron.
Slash Malachi if he's LARPing.
Yes, I do a lot of live action role play, more specifically the combat sports. So I actually work mainly behind the scenes. I've only really been in the videos here.
Guess what? You name it, Collectables, and we have a pretty chunky, a heavy Lord of the Rings cassette version. So this something I've never listened to. I read the books. I fell asleep to them many times. That would be in the 70s, middle 70s, I would guess. But it was a great book. It was a way to get lost. People lose themselves in video games now, but that was a book you could definitely lose yourself, or you could fall asleep in, because the detail was like Stephen King detail. It was, on and on. So the movie has made it quite a bit. This series of movies that has made it quite popular. Now he was talking about the cartoon and the book being different, the way Gandalf treated Sam and so on. There's a lot of those kind of things. I'll tell you another little story that I heard about. The guy who played Gandalf was not what they wanted originally. Before they got the script all put together, it was a mess, real mess. But they handed it to a very famous actor. His name was Sean Connery. Now imagine if Sean Connery was the one who said, "You shall not pass," But he turned it down because the script was a mess. One of the things that they did with try to get him as a famous actor was they offered him a section of the profits. If Sean Connery had accepted it, that mess of a script, and he figured the movie was going to be a mess too, if he'd accepted it, he would have been up into the hundreds of millions just from the movie, because he would have took a section of the movie profits. But he didn't take it, and they were able to make more of the profits, and I guess make more movies. If Sean Connery had been involved, who knows what kind of cost it would have done and caused the movie not to be produced as well. But I'm not saying Sean Connery wouldn't have been a good Gandalf. It was just, think about that. Anyway, this is the cassette version if you want to listen to Lord of the Rings.
Speaking of Gandalf, Ian Macmillan, the actor for Gandalf, was actually offered to be Albus Dumbledore in Harry Potter after the original actor passed away.
I didn't know that.
But Ian turned down the part because the original actor for Dumbledore was very critical of the way Ian acted and his style of acting. So Ian thought it would be disrespectful for him to take the role of someone that did not approve of him.
Wow, I did not know that at all. Huh? Things you learn. Anyway, Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien books in cassette version. It's here. Been here for a while. And yesterday I had Fellowship of the Ring book. It was really old. Had a Magic the Gathering land in it for a bookmark. He said that really works.
Hey, Lord of the Rings has been the gateway for many a nerd to get into collectibles.
Right. So I got it, and I took it home for a friend.